How's it going, everybody? Today we're going to talk about DuPont and the Imprelis lawsuit. On July 15, 2011, the Environmental Protection Agency calls DuPont Registration Manager S.K. Tim Theodorkis to remind him of his responsibilities. The EPA tells Theodorkis that he is supposed to notify them if any of their products have any unreasonable adverse effects on the environment caused by its products. The EPA also demanded that DuPont immediately provide the agency with incident reports, expert studies, lawsuit documents, and numerous other forms of information that the EPA might regard as pertinent. DuPont swiftly sent the EPA thousands of documents, but requested that many be treated as confidential business information that could not be placed in the public domain, including studies related to the efforts of Imprelis on trees. The EPA strongly protested against this demand. The global business leader of the DuPont's professional products on division, Michael McDermott, responded to the LCOs on July 27, 2011 about the Imprelis issue. The positive takeaway you can get from this response was that they actually gave a response to the crisis and just didn't ignore it and think it was just going to go away on its own. The company created a website and hotline to even communicate with these affected customers, and it stated that they will help every customer involved. The not so good takeaways would be DuPont took over 2 weeks to initially respond to this crisis, and the company also used the phrase may have caused in their initial response, meaning that they were acting like they are not fully convinced the Imprelis kills trees. Key mistakes DuPont made during the Imprelis crisis. On August 4, 2011, DuPont decides to keep Imprelis on the shelf in stores to keep gaining sales. That was a big no-no, because that means more claims down the road, since it really was killing trees. DuPont kept selling Imprelis to several commercial businesses that were using the product on a regular basis. They might as well have been shooting themselves in the foot. And DuPont decided to only proceed with a voluntary suspension of Imprelis sales and not a mandatory, which is also bad, because they were not taking the crisis very seriously. The EPA steps in and takes charge. On August 11, 2011, the EPA stepped in and decided that voluntary actions would not be acceptable. The agency informed DuPont that the Imprelis had been misbranded as safe under the conditions of the product label and decreed a stop sale, which effectively banned the sale of the product. DuPont addresses the damages caused by Imprelis. Finally, DuPont offered to pay for the removal, disposal, replacement, and care of affected trees, as well as an additional compensation to property owners. Michael McDermott wrote to the LCOs affected by this crisis, "We recognize that the damage possibly associated with Imprelis may have put you in a difficult position. Our goal is to provide a satisfactory outcome that minimizes any negative impact on your customer relationships." Additional key mistakes DuPont made during the Imprelis crisis. DuPont lacked proper customer service for their customers that were affected by the Imprelis product. The company's representatives weren't communicating with anyone and played ignorant when it came to giving out information about the recall. Still, in hopes probably that they just wanted it to all go away. DuPont makes customers wait for months on end, all the way into the winter season. Some of the first customers that were affected by Imprelis waited months and months to receive refunds and the removal of dead trees from their property, which is also a big no-no. That's how you lose clients and customers. Like this, DuPont hurts their clientele numbers. In hopes to fix their wrongdoings, the company's one bad decision after another results in many of the LCOs agreeing that they would never use any DuPont products again. DuPont informs their investors about the Imprelis crisis. In the first quarter of 2011, DuPont had actually raised its business growth, which raised sales to double digits. In the second quarter of 2011, Chairman and CEO Ellen Coleman released a statement that said customer-driven innovation drove strong performances in agriculture and increased its earnings guidance. But she didn't mention anything about the Imprelis crisis at this time. But during the third quarter, while DuPont's earnings growth increased through the third quarter, during this time the company reports a charge of $75 million related to the Imprelis claims and finally came clean to their investors. The company states that the damage caused by Imprelis could result in future charges that cannot be reasonably estimated at this time. Towards the end of the fourth quarter in 2011, the charges related to Imprelis grew to another $100 million. They were losing money fast. In the first quarter of 2012, DuPont continued to suffer consequences of Imprelis by settling claims and reaching numbers up to $225 million. In the second quarter of 2012, DuPont estimates their total cost for this crisis would be $575 million, but by the end of that quarter, their costs had already risen to almost $500. But however, in the third quarter, after spending another $125 million on claims, they re-estimate the total cost of the crisis being upwards to $700 million. DuPont sells its professional products division. On August 29, 2012, Syngenta announced that it would acquire DuPont's professional products division, which had launched Imprelis for $125 million. The deal included established profitable and product brands, as well as various patents and exclusive access to related products through licensing agreements. This right here says how much it hit DuPont when they had to sell their professional products division. In conclusion to the Imprelis crisis that DuPont made for themselves, they take a massive hit to their company. In the end, DuPont remained responsible for the damages related to the product Imprelis. Following the settlement of this class action lawsuit, DuPont would eventually pay out a total of $1.2 billion to the claims, and DuPont hoped to regain some of that loss back by its insurers. And since this crisis, quarterly announcements have contributed to DuPont's stock plummeting. This has just been a short little lecture on the DuPont crisis from the Imprelis herbicide product in 2011. Thanks for watching and have a good one.